CIO News. I'm Khushbu Soni, your host for the broadcast and a contributing editor at CIO News. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website, that is cionews.co.in, and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. This is an exclusive fireside powered by Avaya on transformation through customer experience. Businesses are built on the experiences they provide, and every day, millions of those experiences are delivered by Avaya. Avaya is shaping what's next for the future of work with innovation and partnership that deliver game-changing businesses. Let me dive in introducing our guest for today. She is Miss Shobana Lele, the Chief Information Officer at Bombay Dyeing and Manufacturing Limited. Shobana has around 20 years of rich experience working with companies like Bombay Dyeing, Sanofi India, Heinz India, BASF Limited. Shobana has led several digital transformation initiatives and is currently heading the IT function for all divisions such as retail, reality, polyester, and corporate shares. She's managing a team of 11, including applications, infrastructure, and promoters support. Shobana, it's an absolute pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Khushbu. I'm happy to be present here as well.
Shobana, I'm also accompanied by Vishal Thakkar. He leads the unified communication and collaboration for Avaya India. He's also our moderator for the session. Vishal is basically a passionate for business development, is an adroit at analyzing organizations' critical requirements, identifying potential opportunities, and then develop innovative, cost-effective solutions, enhancing the competitiveness, increasing revenues, and improving overall satisfactions while working at Avaya. Vishal is driving conversation for technological evolution in terms of collaboration, workspace, and interoperability and convergence. Uh, Welcome, Vishal. It's a pleasure to have you again.
Thank you, Khushbu, and we are pleasure to have connected you with Shobna ma'am, and with me we also have Mr. Amit Puranik, and Amit leads the sales for this particular account.
Hi, good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, everyone.
Hi, Amit, and hi, Vishal.
Yes, ma'am. So I would like to know more from you that in today's world, there are many different applications. For example, there are different applications for meeting, calling, messaging, task management. So are you able to manage with any all-in-one business application, or users use different applications? And do users need to switch between various applications for their communication? And how does it impact the workflow notifications? If you could enlighten us with this, that would be helpful, ma'am.
Sure. So I think possibly communication and collaboration are the biggest asks in today's times, right? No company can, really have any kind of a working and a productive environment without having a very good collaborative and communication platform. So from a platform perspective, we do have a single platform which does offer right from the emails to the messaging to tasks as well as calls, meetings, everything available on a single platform. But the user behavior that we have noticed, although the platform may offer, all the facilities in a single window or in a single platform, but the user preferences keep changing. So a lot of times, it's habitual for users to get used to using, one application for calling, another application for messaging, a third application for emailing. So sometimes it's only a little difficult to get all the users to come to that single platform to achieve all their collaboration efforts. Yeah, but from a technical perspective, a collaborative platform is available, right? It's only the question of how really fast do the users actually get into this kind of a adoption. Now that being said, I think over the last 1 year, due to COVID and due to the situations in terms of the remote working, I think a lot of that has accelerated. And these days, a call is by default a VC. A call doesn't mean a telephone call anymore. It's it gets translated by default as a video call or that's how it gets translated. So that's how I think we use. Plus, in terms of notifications, I think we do look at having optimum notifications, because they also act as irritants after a point in time. You have too many notifications. I think even personally, I do get a lot of some of the messages on my SMS. I get the same message, say, on my WhatsApp. I get another message on my email. In terms of our personal lives, also we are flooded with a lot of notifications and calls. So I think we do go through a little bit of discussions as to how many really notifications and alerts do people really need, and then that's how we tune those messages and applications.
Yes, ma'am. Glad to know this. And I would also like to add that, yes, there are business applications which allows you to customize your notification. So in a way that's not really, disturbing your day-to-day routine. And ma'am, we also understand that organizations need to communicate with other organizations, such as their suppliers and business partners. So how users are enabled for such external communication at your place, as well as how it is embedded with the existing communication system, which is like normally it's a traditional telephony or EPBX kind of system. How
Right.
does that get integrated?
Right. I think now communication, whether it is internal stakeholders or external, right, is now, very default. Like I said, it gets into a kind of a VC setup, right? So whether you're actually communicating with your own employees, because most of them are still working from home, so you still interact with them on the VC, you use the same platform for also interacting with a lot of your business partners. So I think in the last 1 year, a lot of the de facto communication is definitely happening on a video conferencing type of a platform. And we from the IT team have ensured that users are empowered to do this on their own. So they don't have to keep running to the IT team if they want to really do small VC with, their business partners or stakeholders. And they have all the mechanisms in terms of recording and other features that are available with them whenever, it is really required. In terms of the traditional EPBX, yes, I think going forward, we are looking at actually replacing the traditional EPBX with a kind of an IPBX, or that type of a system, and that's something that is of course within the office premises, but it would be useful outside the office premises as
Okay, so ma'am, you are looking for that integration between the new collaboration applications
well.
along with the
Absolutely.
newer IPPBX which you are looking at. I think that's wonderful. And ma'am, that brings me to my next question, that because we understand that communication is critical. And so you have so many various offices, plants and projects. So as a CIO, how optimized is the communication cost across multiple locations? And what factors you considered while managing the cost for your unified communication networks?
Right. So, from a communication perspective, I think the basis for any communication is having a good internet connectivity. So, I think that forms the basic platform for any location. So, our first and foremost priority is to get a good, seamless internet connectivity at our locations. It's still a challenge in a lot of remote locations, and we've also seen now during the pandemic, when the employees are working from home, a lot of times connectivity is still a major issue that I think a nation as a whole, I think we need to address, because that's going to be a step forward for us, going into the future. Now, once the seamless connectivity is established, right, then it comes to the specific needs of that particular site. So, for example, I have a factory site, or I have a marketing office. The needs of the two are very different, right? A factory would possibly have, a basic setup, okay, depending on the exact requirements. But maybe a marketing office which deals with a lot of customers, and it also needs a call center. So that has a different kind of a setup. So depending on the location and the needs, right, we design the optimum communication framework for each of these sites. So it is not exactly common across all of the sites. It could be very dependent on every single site, right? So that's how we really manage. And the second part of it you asked was?
Is the how do you manage to optimize the cost for your UC
Right.
network?
Right. So where possible, the communication, like I said, the base is the internet connectivity. So where possible, we try and unify the internet connectivity across each of those locations, right? So that's how we try and optimize the cost over the and plus, of course, we try and minimize the number of although we do have a primary and a secondary or a backup type of a setup, we do try and optimize, when it is really required.
I think glad to know this. And as a CIO, you're able to provide those remote locations with a great connectivity and totally in line with you that our marketing would need a little fancy kind of connectivity because they need to interact more with the external world as compared to the plant where you need a basic connectivity where people are enabled for communication.
Right.
And my next question is that with the communication moving to cloud, like as yourself said that there are a lot of cloud applications even your users use. So when communication moves to cloud, how do you look at application integration with the communication enabled business processes? For example, like social media connectors for notification from your like CIO or CEO's Twitter page, or from Bombay Dying's web page. So, where it allows you to get notifications from those social media pages, and as well as, you get functionalities like click to call directly from your customized interface, which could be either the cloud tool which you are using, or maybe from your website directly. And or maybe it could be something to do with the scheduling reminders and email and SMS, which you get typically on your cloud applications. So are you already using any such integrations, or do you plan to have any such integration to be done?
Right. So I think integrations are great, definitely, because it gives you a common information across the number of applications that you use. So whenever we design applications, we ensure that, a lot of things are, API driven in terms of if the application is providing data, then it has its the API built in, and the application is reading the data, then it reads it through the other, applications API. So API is definitely one of the things that we use when we are doing a cross application or a cross platform. That's one thing. The second, from the other part of it is, if we look at specific projects, or if we look at, specific things that each office does, right, we possibly give them those very specific tools for doing it. Now when you look at customers, one is the customers who are already on board with you, so they are already part of your, system, and we have some laid down protocols for each of those customers on how they can communicate with us, how, they can log their queries with us using the call centers and things like that. The other part of it is prospective customers, and that is where, the social media links or the connectors that you mentioned really, play their role. So in those cases, although we haven't got into very tight integrations with social media connectors at this time, like I said, once we move into a setup which is a more, IPVX connector with, which uses our collaborative platforms seamless and integrated, that's when we will look at actually, integrating it with other social media platforms. But at the same time, our customers do know how to reach us to that extent, right? And like I said, we do know customer preferences in terms of, they do not like to get, too flooded with, too many calls and queries and notifications. So right, we try and optimize, to whatever extent possible.
Absolutely, ma'am. Totally with you, and understand the importance of APIs for such integrations, because we live in a world where everything customized is asked by all of the users. So, ma'am,
Right.
for the API integrations, do you have your own team enabled for such integrations, or you look for any any developing community, or maybe some partner who can do that for you? Is there
Yeah, so
any
I
thoughts on
think,
that?
yeah. So as and when required, we do onboard, some partners who help us in this process, right? Because, that's how our teams are, actually aligned. So when there is a requirement, we actually get in touch with, the right partners, and onboard the right partners for doing the job for us.
Yeah, sure. Excellent, ma'am. And my last question is around the current COVID situation, which you also touched in the beginning of when we started that. With the present rise of work from home and remote working model, how are you managing and monitoring the employee collaboration? Number one. And then how do you manage the interoperability with the IoT and third-party devices? Because what happens is, as you have rightly said, that users have their own preferences. They would like to have some kind of other third-party devices, and even many of the times these are all a lot of business tools which needs to be integrated. So while we can always say that okay, personal tools are not allowed on office network, but the business tools which typically sometimes are certified by IT? How do they connect? And maybe because this is there is a need and there is a high demand for asked by users that to connect their wearable devices as well as a lot of other IoT stuff to be connected to this network. So how are you managing and monitoring it?
Right. So I think COVID has taught us, a lot of things, but and it has also helped us to, have the IT integration and IT adoption accelerated, across the last 1.5 years, right? So that's a little bit of a blessing in disguise, you can call it, for IT, where there were challenges in actually getting users to adopt, few of the technologies and processes. Now, how do we really monitor them? We do have our dashboards, which capture the usage of each of these collaboration tools, whether there are users who are actually using it or not using it, right? So we do have those monthly statistics which come to us and which give us an idea whether users are actually getting into using of these. And we have seen, quite a bit of a change over the last 1.5 years, where the increase of these collaboration tools has shown a significant improvement over the last 1 year and 1 year or so. So that is one. IoT and AI we haven't got into very greatly at this point in time, right? But I think once things stabilize, further in the next 6 months or so, right? That's definitely on the agenda as to how we can really optimize and use these technologies for furthering our businesses. But what has really helped us is, the adoption of the cloud. So because the cloud, most of our critical applications and infrastructure was on cloud, right? And the pandemic, when it hit us, and the lockdowns were so sudden that we really had no time to really react. But thankfully, since our applications and a lot of the infrastructure was on the cloud, right? So we were able to manage that part of the pandemic situation very well, and we ensured that there was no real impact on the business operations during this time. The two learnings that I would like to point out during the pandemic was, of course, the VPN. I think a lot of companies, struggle with the VPN because you always, looked at having a small set of community on the VPN, but you suddenly had to have, the entire set of community coming on your VPN. And the other was the call center, because it was so specific to the location that then we did a quick workaround so that we ensured that our call center operations, which were so specific for the office, those were not impacted. So these were the two learnings from the COVID situation for us. But like I said, overall, we were able to manage quickly because I think cloud was what really helped us to ensure that.
Awesome. That's Shobana ma'am. I really appreciate your views on this. And from our side, we would like to mention that we have a business application which allows you to do the meetings, chatting, calling, that secure enterprise class, security built in with that. So video and audio conferencing along with it. You can do the task management, and you can do unlimited. You get unlimited storage on the cloud, and over and above, you get business telephony free along with it. And what we are doing is this application also allows you to make a digital calling. So that's similar to, you can say that WhatsApp calling or a FaceTime calling. And you also integrate it with your enterprise telephony. It consumes the lowest bandwidth available in terms of for your users. And it also have the PSTN phone dial-in with the local India telephone number with unlimited dial plan for it. So those are some of the things which we have to offer. And as a token of appreciation, what we are doing, ma'am, is we are offering you the 60-day trial licenses for you, and maybe your IT team and the entire Bombay Time team can use it. And we look forward for your on that IP office case which we are going on for upgrade, and I look forward to work with you and your team on that, ma'am.
Sure, we'll evaluate as well. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate your time. Over to you, Khushbu.
Great. Thank you so much for moderating the session, Vishal. Wonderful insights, ma'am, for all our viewers. I just have one last question before we end the session. I mean, it's very proud to see, women leading in the entire technology division for a great brand like Bombay Dye. Any best practices, any do's and don'ts that you would want to give women in technology? As as in journey that you've been through. Any do's and don'ts, it will be great to hear from you.
Sure. I think great question, Khushbu, and it's a great forum. And also, I'll be glad to answer, this kind of a question if it does help, upcoming women tech leaders. I think what I would like to tell women tech leaders is don't doubt about yourself. I mean, go with the confidence. Somewhere, and I've mentioned it in a few forums earlier as well that, when we look for people in the leadership, arena, we get very few women applicants, and that's one thing that not really sure why there is a hesitancy for women to take up these kind of leadership positions. So I would just encourage people that don't be scared, or don't be hesitant about getting into leadership positions. You should definitely go for it. It's absolutely possible to manage your career and your home duties, and still be happy at the end of the day and have a peaceful sleep at the end of the day. So it's absolutely possible. So I would definitely encourage all the women leaders to definitely, if there is a little hesitancy that they have on it, please shirk away the hesitancy and get into it. And the second thing that I would like to say, not just to women leaders, I think to, but as a general, is I think the habit of learning, right? So be a student all your life. I think that's the best way that gives you the confidence to keep reaching higher and higher levels. Particularly in the technology area, I think we all know right from the time we all got into technology that we need to be students all our life. But I think the pace at which the technology is, growing so fast, right? I think it just asserts this point even more, right? So be a student all your life and just give it your best shot. It's absolutely possible.
Awesome. I think wonderful to hear from you, ma'am. And I'm sure our viewers are going to get good insights. One from your journey at Bombay and the practices that you followed in this unprecedented times, as well as your way forward. So thank you so much for joining us and being part of our series.
Thank you, Khushbu. It's been a pleasure for me as well.
Thank you, Shobana ma'am. Thank you,
Thank
Khushbu.
you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Happy
you.